Our next panel is Reggae to the World Without Jamaica. Certainly an interesting topic. And to explore it, we have Adam Gross of Ineffable Records. We have Aaron Talbot from VP Records. We have Jay Will, film director, and Lloyd Leng, Island Music Group.
If them try test you, thank God for my life, yes. Me wake up this morning and alive, yes. Make them go and judge, nobody no perfect, and Father God alone bring brightness. If you don't like what me say, go find the Lord. Me nah no time for the work, a time so hard. Them nah mad me nah gonna psycho ward. Or go join the morgue, enjoy my life for y'all. Few friends when me have were dear to me. Me not trust people, so me choose them carefully. Them are not clean, so them can't come near to me, can't compare to me. None of we don't know where tomorrow might bring, got the future, the hours away. So me I live my life today. So me I live my life today. Yeah, so love me make me talk when I want to talk. Me have enough to say. So me I live my life today. So me I live my life today. So everybody else can sing it out. I love my life. I want it. I love my life. I love my life.
Oh, you hear me? I want them, I want them, them. Yo, I want them, I want them, them. Osa, I want them, I want them, them. Ranch, I want them, I want them. Oh, you hear me? Burn up the place when you see me ever hot not chilly. Phenomenon, the girl them say me at them and you see me. Love me up when them see me, say them have something to give me. Bring the kitty come and tell me, say me have the killy. Love the way how me set it, them ask me where me get the road boy style. Me say that running on me family. No show no mercy, no pity, yeah, so we like the city. If a guy test, you know it, no, but be nothing pretty. I want them, I want them, them. 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 I'm in a no, 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 I'm in a no.
We no frightened for nobody, but we respect everybody, and we better than everybody. So me we run where anybody. No boy no better than we. No boy no better than we. Step on me can and say, them no for dance and fancy. On a bag of long talking. Something, do something, do something, do something, do something. On a bag of long talking. No, just do something. Do something, something, do something, do something, and a back of leg tracing. Hey. Conscience me name but me not have none. This me and you find out if South man them have none. From me a little boy me stop run. So when me clap me not stop till mosquito drop down. We tell them so we are not bad man. Rich but if you this we turn out in a certified bad man. Big up me link in them 1-1. We not preach like whole long our brain program for you. Something, do something, yeah. Do something, do something, do something, do something, and a bag bag and talking. Big nothing, just something, do something, something, do something, and a bag of lick.
Rich badness, them know a man style. Big Ben spark up and last kick pan kyle. Bus, go and go run man file beat. We part with fam, we are juvenile. How we are on the ground. What else? Badness, where them a say? How we have up here to set a guy, where them a say? Yeah. Chain it a jip, bad clocks, for a foot, we no listen boy, where you chat, where them a say? What else? Badness, where them a say? How we have up here to set a guy, where them a say? Chain it a jip, bad clocks, for a foot, we no listen boy, where you chat, where them a say? We pocket no fracture. We're up to the time, just like the watcher. Cologne a thump, just like a boxer. Catch a girl in our net, just like a lobster. And have a rackle, just like that. You're big team, big crew. We no see we put the bar on our foot. We no take we can ride game.
Yo, New Year. Get a one, 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 get a one.
Is mic on? All right. Welcome. Thanks again. Thanks for turning out. My name is Lloyd Leng, music director of Edge 105, one of my many caps I wear. And today we're going to have a very vibrant discussion on reggae music to the world and without Jamaica. Now, we know that Jamaica is the spiritual home of reggae, and the genre has since spread across the globe, finding new homes and audiences in diverse countries such as the United States, the United Kingdom, Brazil, and Japan. Today we are joined by a panel of experts, and that is by no small means when I say panel of experts, who have come to help us explore how reggae music has been adopted by different cultures around the world, and what unique twists have emerged as part of this cross-cultural exchange, and to also get an understanding of how we as homegrown reggae purveyors can take advantage of this new globalized market. We also want to examine the challenges and the opportunities faced by non-Jamaican reggae artists, the impact of technology and social media on the genre, and the ways in which reggae music has served as a vehicle for social change and activism in the 21st century. We hope that this discussion will deepen our understanding of the global significance of reggae music and its continued evolution beyond its Jamaican roots. So I would like to start with everybody introducing themselves. Aaron.
Good afternoon, everyone. Aaron Talbert from VP Records, New York. Happy to be here with you.
Jay Will.
Good afternoon. My name is Jay Will. I'm a filmmaker, content creator, born and raised in Jamaica, and yeah. Keep it nice and simple.
Hey, everybody. Adam Gross here from Ineffable. Looking forward to the conversation.
All right, so let's start it out, Aaron. VP has and will always be considered a Jamaican company. No matter how you guys grow and where you are in the world, we're going to own you guys for the test of time. And as regarded as a front runner in the regional industry, how do you think the globalization of reggae has affected your strategic approach to pushing homegrown music in a new paradigm?
Well, so in terms of globalization, I think that when we talk about streaming or the last 8-10 years, and the reality of that and being able to see the impact globally. Just to give an example, when I first started with the company, we were doing mostly physical business, and so there were markets that would love reggae, African markets and so forth, but the music would really not reach because of the limitations of distribution. So with the streaming, this is maybe one definition of what the globalization or global market has become, truly because we were just talking about artists like Christopher Martin, whose #2 streaming market is Ghana. We talked the other day about the Go Down There record, that its #1 market globally is India. So truly, that's been the impact. In terms of the strategy, I think the idea is to learn really what those markets are and to understand what is driving those markets. So we know that within the music business, the primary vehicle for earning for artists is going to be touring. So that's one discussion to have, and I think certainly Adam would be able to add a lot to that also. The other side is streaming. We were just talking about the idea of YouTube as being the number one global streaming platform. And that, again, Christopher Martin, his number two market is Ghana. So strategically, again, it's to get boots on the ground where we can to help promote locally. There's, again, trying to get the artists into those markets where possible to understand those markets and what it is that they're seeing in the Jamaican artists. There's been a lot of talk over the week around Afrobeats, or we talked earlier about reggaeton and its connection to reggae and so on, right? So in some of these international markets, that may be part of the appeal. Another thing with international markets is the traditional roots sound is particularly strong for markets in Europe or in South America. There's more Latin America. There's more of a roots fan in today's market. And then obviously, well, I don't want to get too far from the question. I hope I covered that.
And definitely you've given us some insight. But considering that you guys have had a head start, what advantage do you think we can grasp in this space, considering that, you know, we have always been a little behind in terms of our cultural acceptance of new technology and new music? How do you think, you know, you guys are the front runners. You guys are what I would always consider the ones that push Jamaican music forward. How do you think that we can get a leg up in the current globalized market?
Well, I think we talked about the platforms, understanding, you know, your social media, growing your, if it's a video platform that you're going to use through YouTube or so forth, and to learn how to identify audience, I think is a big thing. The globalized market is real for many of the artists that we're dealing with, from the most developing, from a Javalani to Intense to Alberosi to Barris. Each of them have different international footprint of reggae fans. And so it's for them to really understand, know how to target it, and maybe think about how to create music for that particular audience.
That's true. That's true. Thank you very much.
I wanted to add something to that real quick.
Please do.
The people that we're competing with in that globalized market has a lot of resources that's available to them, and I think that here in Jamaica we lack a lot of those resources. I mean, I left Jamaica when I was like in the 10th grade and went to Florida, and there's a lot of resources available to me that since I was in high school, I was writing a news story, broadcasting. We had a television station in my school. Mm-hmm. You know, we had a radio station in my school. So there's a lot of resources. So with technology, as you mentioned, if the schools here, or I don't know how that infrastructure is created, but I just feel like the people that they're competing with, artists has to get to a certain point when they're making a certain amount of money or have a certain amount of bucketive before they could even get certain technology and certain resources available to them. And if we, the government or the schools or whoever, or businesses, private sector, whatever it is, invest in the youth and from a younger age, high school, primary school, whatever it is, they stand a better chance when they get to a level where they want to put their product out there and compete.
Definitely. And leading into that for you is one particular thing I want to ask you, Mr. Grass, Adam. Do you think, as Jay will say...
Gross Adam.
Gross Adam. But do you think that Jay Will just made a point? Do you think that has given, you know, non-Jamaican artists a distinct advantage that they have these infrastructures in place from, you know, primary, middle school education? Do you think that has given these artists a slight edge to the market?
Absolutely. You know, if you think about it, the reality is any country that you go to in the world, there are artists making reggae music. And if you go to shows and you see who sells the most tickets, usually it's an artist from that country because they're in that country focusing on that one place over and over again. You go to France, and the artist that sells the most tickets that makes reggae music is an artist from France. And the same thing applies in every other country. You know, there's serious barriers to entry from having to fly internationally and paying 30% of your taxes to the government, to have to pay for flights and for, have to handle visa situations and all sorts of situations like that. So the reality is, whatever market you're trying to penetrate, whoever's there has an advantage.
Thank you, Adam. And that leads into my next question for you. How have non-Jamaican artists and musicians been able to capture the spirit of reggae music and bring it to audiences around the world? And what have been some of the most successful examples of this from your side?
One thing that I think is really smart that Sean Paul keeps saying over and over and over again is when Ed Sheeran and Drake and Justin Bieber and Bad Bunny make dancehall songs, they should call them dancehall songs instead of a pop song, right? So if you think about all these different genres that exist, each of them have a larger diaspora to have as their first ring of people for the music to get in front of. So if you take a dembow beat, which reggaeton has done, and Latin music is now 25% of music consumption in the US, and the Spanish-speaking diaspora worldwide is so much greater than Jamaica and the Caribbean diaspora, it makes sense that they're going to be able to make that music that penetrates at that level, right? And that there are kind of situations like so. I think that the dance hall thing is a really interesting thing that we need to have more artists who are making dance hall songs, call it dance hall, right? And the thing that's been happening with the reggae songs and artists who've been making reggae music from other markets is they are calling it reggae. They're not going out there and saying, I'm making alternative music, or I'm making rock music, or I'm making this. Like, they're saying, I'm making reggae. And I think that's really important because you have these artists out there who are creating fan bases in their local markets. These people now know what reggae is because of this artist. And then they're able to go and check out other music that they find from it. So in terms of examples of that story, I think Stick Figure is kind of the prime example, who is our client, who for the past 4 years in a row, and on the year-end Billboard charts, has sold the second most albums of any reggae artist in the world after Bob. Because you're starting off in the US, which is the biggest market, and you're focusing on that one market, and you're focusing on growing an audience, and all the different things that you have to do in order to do that, right? So he's a producer first and foremost. So he's making music every single day. He's studying how to get better. Each album, the production is better. Each album, the songwriting is better. It's an obsessive thing. Touring. Consistently touring over and over and over and over again for years and years and years and years. Merchandise. Building a merchandise brand that people are wearing at a ridiculous, rate. Because he understands the sound and the brand of the whole entire thing. But through that, you're able to have situations where when Stick does a record with Barrington, all these fans who don't even know who Barrington is, which is hard to believe, can now go and discover that music. So it's a hot topic in terms of artists making reggae music from other parts of the world. But what it has allowed for, and I think what we need to do to kind of keep pushing things forward, is to talk about this leverage game. If there are artists making reggae music from different parts of the world, and we view it as a global reggae ecosystem, this whole conversation about market share is actually a lot greater than everyone kind of makes it out to be. There are 3 million people in Jamaica. There is no country in the world that has 3 million people that has the level of market share that they have in Jamaica. So the whole conversation about market share and about leverage needs to be built so that when we create a new contact, because there's an album from an artist who's making reggae-influenced music who's in Australia, that can then allow a different artist to tap into that market as well. So for instance, we put out the last album from DeMarco, and there's a song on that album called Dance My Stress Away, featuring Stephen Marley. If I pull up the Spotify stats for it right now, the top market for that song this month is Australia and New Zealand. Making like a poppy reggae kind of record, right? So because there's people making music in these regions, if you tap into the right audiences and the right metrics, and you use the right growth hacking strategies, there's really an ability to actually grow things really far. So I actually think the future landscape and what we're going to see in the next 5 years, 10 years, reggae is going to be so much bigger than it is right now. And reggae from Jamaica is going to be so much bigger than it is right now. Because we're going to continue to democratize the process of teaching people how to grow fan bases on their own, not being reliant on an Ineffable or a VP, right? Building audiences and learning how to use the tools that exist in the marketplace today so that you can build your own leverage, you can build your own brand, and you can take advantage of the fact that what Shaggy always says, right? Jamaica always has the coolness factor. It always has the legitimizing factor. So if you're an artist from Jamaica trying to get into these different markets, artists in those markets are going to be down to collaborate with you, even if they're a way bigger artist in terms of their reach, because they want to be legitimized. So there's a way that this can all be taken advantage of to actually grow this music so much larger than I think any of us have been thinking about. And even this concept of the Isle of Music Conference, and I know I've just given the longest answer in the world, sorry. Even this Isle of Music Conference, right? You know, Judy was saying the genesis is Jamaica, and then there's the rest of the Caribbean as well. But there's islands around the world where the primary type of music they listen to is reggae. You go to Hawaii, you go to all the different islands in Hawaii. They have an iHeart radio station, 98.5 in Honolulu. You get a song in rotation on 98.5 in Honolulu, you're the top of the Shazam charts. And then there's a Polynesian and a Hawaiian community, diaspora around the entire world, where that is the touch point for what they go and then listen to. So the overall diaspora of people who live in islands around the world is way bigger than we think about it. And every single island in the entire world has people making reggae music. So anyway, I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, man, you definitely did. Definitely did. Thank you very much for that. Jay Will, a spin-off question from what him said that come to mind, you know. Do you think that the premonition we have in Jamaica that we got to do it for the culture, we got to stay real, do you think that has also put us at a disadvantage in a globalized reggae market?
I really feel like there's a lot of things that the whole do it for the culture has made us very influential. So, and it's kind of like a gift and a curse, you know? So a lot of the things, like when I listen to like some of Skeng's music and some of the things he's saying, when you think too deep in the things he's saying, that probably prevents him from getting on certain playlists and into certain, but some of the things them way must say make the song actually hot and make Nicki Minaj or somebody want. You know what I'm saying? So I say it's like a gift and a curse. So I think that, yes, maybe it has worked against us, but in a lot of cases it has helped us. So, but we are who we are, you know? From a walk in our room, we're going to load, we're going to talk certain way. Even a yard man, I going to drink the juice a certain way, make it, you know? Yeah. We are just who we are, so we can't help that. And I don't think it's worth changing. What we need to do is find a way how to market who we are, how we are, and still make it. You understand? There is a way. We just have to find it, you know? Definitely,
definitely. And that comes to the next question I want to ask you, Aaron. Do you think that the influence of non-Jamaicans now performing reggae, commercializing reggae, making money off of reggae, do you think it has changed the innate message of the music?
You know, I would say to some extent, because Jamaica is the seed, and Jamaica has been at the front of the evolution of the music, that a lot of those sort of hybrid or outside artists are, to me, somehow maintaining some of those sounds that are more familiar as traditional reggae. So I think, as Jay has said, there's sort of a balance there. Gentleman doing his thing and his reverence for One Drop and roots and keeping that alive, though he's doing it with a different voice perhaps or instrumentation. It's that balance. And I remember a guy working with us at BP said that, reggae is Jamaica's gift to the world. And the gift has gone out and now it's evolving into all these different areas. So I think it is good for the most part what's going on in terms of international. And again, like Adam said, those people then who is Barrington Levy? Or what is the reference to that song? Or, oh, that's a cover song, and that leads back to the roots.
Aaron, you really put a good point there, and I want to ask you a follow-up question that I wanted to ask J. Will, but you definitely stepped on it. How do you think the globalization of reggae has impacted the role of Jamaica as a cultural and creative hub of the genre? And what opportunities or challenges has this presented for Jamaican artists at home?
Well, I would say this too, and I think most people in the room would recognize, right? All genres ebb and flow. Hits happen, then cool off, right? And in terms of the influence of music, we've talked about it a few times here today or this week, about Afrobeats over the last few years and how, there's so many elements to the story of reggae internationally, right? So let's just take immigration as one. In the 60s, when Jamaicans were going into London and the development of the music there and the trend that became, to where now, and most would say, the root of black music in UK is reggae, though that's one of the main points for Afrobeats and where that music is happening. And of course, there's been grime and there's been drum and bass and jungle and many other things that's evolved, but that's a root that they recognize. In the States, where, again, we were talking just this last panel about the footprint of crossover radio along the eastern seaboard, and those were immigration patterns of Jamaicans. So the evolution of the music, I think you could trace it to that, where the people are and how the influence has been. In terms of the influence, the other side of it is what's come into Jamaica. A lot of people had said cited, when BET came into Jamaica, the influence of the music or what people started to interpret or put into it changed drastically because of the 24-hour input of R&B, hip-hop, so forth. And, oftentimes we're asking ourselves, how do you define it? What's the range of what reggae is? Is it just because it's a Jamaican artist? Is it just because there's an upbeat on the guitar or a particular rhythm? And, I think this is it's subjective, I guess, is the other point, right? Yeah. I don't think I could really be the one to define it.
All right, definitely. So, J. Will, I want to ask you another very important question from your standpoint. Over the years, you've been on the sidelines of reggae music for quite a while. Both sides of the fence, you've seen, all the evolutions that have happened. You've been there. What can you say has been one of the biggest advantages that we, as a homegrown industry, has gained out of the globalization of reggae?
Well, so when I started out, there was no YouTube, right? And for us, there was a program called, what was it called? And Rachel was the host of it on BET. No, that's Caribbean Rhythm. Was it Caribbean Rhythms? Caribbean Rhythms. That was on. Huh? No, I think it was Caribbean Rhythms. Yeah, but the show that was on BET with Rachel, right? And I was in college at that time, and that was the only place that we could see dancehall music, like some videos, right? And then how could only certain artists, and there was actually gatekeepers set up. You had to submit, and then I guess you probably had to have radio. You would probably know you have to have radio airplay, like on Hot 97 or something, to actually be played. Right. And then they had this late show at night, like BT after dark thing, where they would play some of the grittier ones. But certain things since then, there's YouTube, there's Instagram. You have people that are not even artists. Like you have the Amaris and the Queenies and the Gully Bops and the different people that can just stay home, no gatekeeper, don't have to be on Hot 97, you don't have to even go up on a plane, right? And you can set up so your studio is now in your home. People are recording on their laptops, right? Yep. So technology has evolved, and then there's no more gatekeeper, it's just you. Everybody a vlogger now. Everybody's a content creator. You can't talk to me. Everybody a producer. Everybody an artist. You know what I'm going? Yeah, you understand? So I think that is what we have to our advantage right now, and it has, especially during COVID, We saw that. We saw a lot of different ways how to make money in a COVID. You understand? When everybody was at home, people start use them phone, people start develop this new thing. You understand? So that's one thing I've said a lot of there's no more per se gatekeepers. There's gatekeepers in a sense right now if you want to make a lot of money from it and you want to be successful and you want to profit on a certain level like everybody else in the globalized market. But everybody right now have a broadcasting device in their pocket ready. You have a gateway to the world right in your palm or your hand from home. You just need Wi-Fi or a data plan and you now can have a career and make money.
Definitely. You have something to say on that, Adam?
Yeah. I think, one thing about the gatekeeper thing that's really interesting too is, a lot of the artists in these different markets that we're talking about who have built fan bases, a lot of them have done it independently. And a big part of that is being not completely reliant on just your show income. So if you're making money every month from your music, from your streaming, because you own your masters, you own your publishing, and there's a check coming in every month from your biggest songs, then you can go fly to that country and do that tour where you're going to lose money, but it's going to build that market long term for you so that over time you can build in that market and be in a position. So as we move towards this less gatekeeper-focused business, the more that artists are making from their music on the back end, from streaming every month, the better positions that they're going to be in to make the best decisions for their careers. And that's a really special thing because the number of artists that I've spoken to, throughout time, especially a lot of the Jamaican artists I've spoken to who have told me they make $0 a month from their music, and you would be shocked at how big their names are, is insane, It's a lot of people. I remember we did this rhythm compilation. Collie Buds produced it, 2020. It's called Cali Roots Rhythm 2020. And the idea was to bring together artists who make reggae from all different markets around the world and have every single one of those artists pushing that project so that it could expose all these different scenes to each other, right? So from Jamaica to France to Hawaii to you name it, right? And from that process, Anthony B had a song on that rhythm. The song was called Chill Out. And that song ended up being really big for him in certain markets. So really big in Costa Rica, really big in Kenya, really big in Europe. Ends up being his top streamed song on his Spotify if you pull up his Spotify. He's getting a check from that every single month. And he's, from just that one song, putting 4 figures into his pocket every month from that one song. He's able to make way better touring decisions than he was able to make his entire career just from that one asset. So your music is an asset, and having ownership of that asset allows more easily to be able to penetrate these new markets where there's a lot of barriers to entry, so that you're not fully just reliant on your shows. So you have merchandise income coming in, so that you have music income coming in. And I just think that's an important just thing that I thought of once you mentioned the whole gatekeeper thing. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Aaron, just a spin-off from that same conversation that we, same quip that we had a while ago from Adam. And how is it, well, put it this way. In an industry where we are now competing for our own bread, reggae was our thing, right? I know we're competing against non-Jamaican artists. We make mention of Collie Buds, for example, who, he has said it quite proudly that, the few single times that he's been to Jamaica. Now, do you think that non-Jamaican artists require that validation that was normally sought by artists in the past? So, you're coming from Spain. You say you're going to come to Jamaica and you're going to sit here for years or months just trying to hone it. Gentleman, a perfect example. Do you think that we have lost that relevance to the non-Jamaican artists?
Not at all. Not at all.
All right.
Sorry, just to go back to Jay's point, I think that now would be the time for people Jamaican artists to double down in terms of what makes Jamaican culture, what makes Jamaica uniquely Jamaica, and to build upon that in ways that we've been talking about during the course of this week, because that is the essence of it, is that the seed of it is here, and that does give you an edge.
Definitely.
I want to add to that. I think there's also a little tussle happening on home soil where a lot of people here has lost the true value of what it is that they have and has taken it for granted and has not paid a lot of attention to it, while other people with vision is like taking advantage of it. And then we'll see them and make certain kind of money. We'll say, hey, but our thing that I want to go on, like, yo, how come we're not involved in that? But we take it for granted, and we, you know, like if you follow the evolution of music, like in Jamaica, when it was like ska, rocksteady, and how reggae got developed, and what was being played on the radio during that time, they were listening to radio from America and listening to certain kind of, you know what I'm saying? What was blues and jazz and certain things. You understand? And that then reggae got created, dancehall got created, and then now, the same people back in dancehall now are listening to rap and trap and some other things, and they're fusing and making another thing, and it's creating money and they're making money. So in one way, you're looking at it like, yo, they're more resourceful and a little bit more smarter than the artists that came before. When I say smart, I mean like they're not being taken advantage of. Like one time, you can't fool me again. You understand? One time we never have internet and we couldn't Google certain things and figure it out, you know? The new youth, them now that's being influenced from different places. People are listening to all different types of music, and we're now seeing it in the music that they're creating. And the older artists have beat them feet because them say, yo, I change up dancehall, or I change up this. But there's other people that's, you understand? So it's like on homegrown, a lot of people don't really realize or put that value on what it is that they have, you understand? And then other people are and it's making money from it. You understand?
And I want to ask Adam a question based upon that. Like, Adam, do you think non-Jamaicans, based upon your own personal visibility of what you've seen in the space, do you think that non-Jamaican artists value reggae more than Jamaicans?
No. I don't know how you could really measure that necessarily, you know? Like, I'm not sure what we would use to look at that, but I think you know, it's the birthplace of reggae is here, and whether we want to call dancehall and reggae two separate genres, or we want to call dancehall a subsidiary, I view it as two different genres, really, right? Like, reggae and dancehall should obviously not be the same Grammy category, right? Like, these albums the audiences are different, right? So you know, in terms of reggae, I mean, versus dancehall, you know, it is fair to, if you pull up the YouTube charts locally, what are the type of songs that are the top 10, 15, 20? It's mainly the choppa tunes and stuff like that, right? So it's not as much roots reggae that's working locally.
Which is not getting nominated for Grammys, right?
Right. And you know, I think it's just a matter of creating core audiences and having artists in situations where they're growing their fan bases. It's not every, the goal for every release should be, let's make the biggest record possible. Like, yes, let's have the biggest record possible. You want hits, right? But really, if you are doing all the fundamentals that are going along with it and using each release as a shot on goal and an opportunity to create new fans, and it's all about bringing people into the fold, into having a core fan base and growing the core fan base. If you're an early artist, respond to every single comment anyone ever makes on every single platform. Like, you should be liking and commenting on every single thing you see on your YouTube. Same thing with Instagram, same thing with everywhere else. You should be responding to as many DMs as you can. You should be bringing people in the fold. You should be getting people's email addresses. You should be getting people's phone numbers. And get yourself in a position where you're not reliant on outside sources. And I think the more that happens, and that audiences and individual audiences grow and are using the best practices to do that, then all the music will grow a lot more too.
Definitely. And I wanted to just ask you a quick, just pick your brain for a second. What are some of the things that our local homegrown artists can do to take advantage of the global space that is out there? How can we reach out to these artists that are non-Jamaicans? How can we have more cross-cultural collaboration? And how, like, just give us a few examples of how, you know, we can actually just start getting it done.
Yeah, I think it's, okay, if you have a song and it's a roots reggae song, right? Think about that song and then understand how roots reggae works in different markets around the world. Okay, that does have a similar sound to what they're doing in Hawaii right now. And I know if I can get a big song there and it's playing on radio, it's going to expand to the rest of the world based off of the Hawaiian and that Polynesian diaspora. And if I can create a record that the Caribbean diaspora and that diaspora are both going to be into, that's a winning success story, right? That's a good way to do things. So it's just, to me, it's just all about bringing audiences together and looking into where things are working in different markets and just collaborating. Like the solution is collaborating. You know, one thing that's interesting, and it's not reggae, but our client Kess the band, last year did this record called Licky Ticky. Michael Brunn, who's a really dope producer, really well-known producer from Haiti, and Jay Perry, who's a big artist in Haiti. They all did this record together, and the idea was to bring together these two different cultures and these two different scenes of music and use that as a way to showcase what they have in common and what the music from the Caribbean has in common. And that record did really well for them because everybody pushed it together to their individual audiences and everything came together and it made more sense like that. So I think it's just about finding those situations, you know. Same, Kess just put out a record with Busy Signal last week, you know. Same idea. Like, that's soca and dancehall coming together for a record and trying to push beyond what people think of. Obviously, Kess and Shaggy just did the record too. So, you know, it's just all about finding places where there are the Venn diagrams intersecting and tapping into those tangential markets. So, for instance, like, if you look a lot about what's going on in the UK with grime, right? And if you go and you see what's going on with Afrobeats and you see these different areas and you're saying, okay, well, maybe I have this song and it's really hot here, but what is a remix that I could cut of that song that the production style would fit more with what's working in these markets, and I can tap in an artist over there and you can kind of grow that. So I think it's just understanding what works in other markets and not shifting, you know, what creatively makes sense to you, but making that be a part of the conversation. And maybe that's not for the first version of the song, but maybe it's a remix.
So you're saying that one of the things that approaches that we need to do is to consider what's the sound of different regions within the target markets and try to create something for that.
Yes.
Definitely. A big question for before I get to here, I have a big question for you, but J. Will, give us a few tips, because, you know, we're in a visual space. You know, you're a visual pioneer. Just on the ground, some of the base, what are just some of the things that the average upstart independent artist can do for sort of give himself an uptick in the global space now? Just like off my own phone, like, what can he actually do? And this is something that he can do on a consistent basis to just push the needle.
I think there's a concept of put your hat where you can reach it, you know? First, where there's a lot of people that they'll say, let's use me for example, yo, Jay Will, your video them cleaner, but I like the video you did for Shaggy, Sean, and Spice. You understand? But the people that I'm talking about, they're on no level like those people, you know? How can I do a video with you? Yeah, I'm like, just pay me, you know? Yeah. But, you know, but it's like, but they can't. So it's kind of like put your hat where you can reach it. You should not, all right, I tell people about having a passion and having a hustle. You understand? And until your passion start making money, you need a hustle. So it's either you sell greater cake or you're a mechanic or whatever it is. You know, my hustle was just worked at Circuit City, KFC. I worked everywhere while I was trying to save to buy a camera. You understand? Passion and hustle. You use your hustle to fund your passion until your passion is making enough money where you don't need a hustle anymore. These people just want to roll spliff and smoke all day and say, I'm passionate about music and I make music. And that's it. And they don't want to work. And they don't understand it. Like, how you going to pay a fee? How you going to pay for studio time? Well, I need an investor, I need a manager. No, that's not how it works. You need a hustle. You need to go work. Go plant some yam, plant some corn, and make music, and until your music start making money where you can afford a J Will, then you do that. Unless VP or Ineffable come to you and say, hey, listen, we heard your music, we saw what you did on your own, on your page, we saw you from when you were just vlogging until you turned artist, and then this, and no, we want to give you a contract and hire J Will to make a video for you, you understand? But they just want to sit down and build to eat that rhythm and DJ and them tell themselves that I'm an artist. But you're not. Go find a hustle. You understand?
Definitely.
So first, I say, put your hat where you can reach it. You understand? Shoot some videos on your iPhone. Look at this. Put hashtag shot on iPhone. Just type that in on Instagram and you see how much things. They have some little lenses cost $100. You put that on your iPhone and put your hat where you can reach it. Give your brethren for world. They have image stabilizers. You put the iPhone on the image stabilizer and you go and shoot until you reach a certain level. Stop watch people and stop bad mind people. We're too bad mind. Sure. That is, I'm being honest. I'm telling you this. Put your hat where you can reach it. And get out of my DMs and stop asking me how we can work together. And you know, make even good music. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
You have to understand how it works. Understand pass and get him going. You understand?
Exactly.
You have to creep before you walk. You don't know, you don't watch my journey and what I've done to reach where I reach. You have to know it. You understand? So that's it. Put your hat where you can reach it. Use of information and resources. That's the most valuable class I ever took in college. And it taught me about the 6 degrees of separation. Who knows who knows who? Listen, I want to get in touch with Nolan Baines. Who do I know? Nolan Baines, he's heading up something at 300 right now. Okay, I know Carlene. Carlene knows Natalie. Natalie knows Nolan's manager. Nolan's manager can call Nolan. So I need to convince Carlene to get me on the phone with Natalie. And we'll call Natalie and make him call Nolan manager. And then me tell Nolan, say, hey man, I DM'd you something. I just want you to check it out. You understand? And if it's of any good, then Nolan are going to link me. Use of information and resources. You have resources, you have the phone, you have the internet. When you sit down in a company with your Jamaica, nothing now go on, how can I? You have the phone, use it. 6 degrees of separation. Anybody in this world that you want to get to, you're less than 6 people away from them. And not by, Mr. Pullman, he was here earlier, and a man go to him and I talk to him. You talk to him too early, you don't have nothing to give to him right now. You bother him and annoy him. Wait, listen, opportunity only come once, and then it'll take a while before it come back again. You want, when you have 2 seconds of a person time, have something worth saying to him, you understand? Mm-hmm. So that's all I can, that's just my opinion, you understand?
Well taken. Well taken. That leads me to my next question for Aaron. Now, Jay will just had a very powerful statement.
I was going to say.
VP has been around for a long time. We have a 3rd generation of artists now that look like them have a little sense, them have a little business mindedness, for the few that do. But do you think that over the years that VP has been at a disadvantage because of the attitude, the approach, and the discipline of homegrown artists?
I think it's a blessing and a curse, right? Part of the thing is with a Jamaican family, the heritage of the company, and its connection to the actual makers of the music and the understanding, a connection to the culture, that gave VP a great advantage. Mm-hmm. And when the time has been good, we've had the hits, we benefited big time, right? In terms of the whole crossover craze that's happened in different times, when the majors step in, VP has a disadvantage because we don't have the resource, the money as the majors, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's the advantage, disadvantage, if that answers the question.
Well, I was looking more to say, VP has put a lot in behind some artists, right? And you have won with some artists because of their discipline, their attitude, and their approach to their craft. It's very important. But do you think that we could have had more quality or a lot more influence in the globalized space if those things were a lot more prevalent amongst homegrown talent?
Well, we just started this licensing deal with the Bunny Lee catalog, and he had this expression. It's saying every spoil is a style, mm-hmm. And I guess my point there is, for me, and oftentimes we get new music in, all of you guys can relate to this, where you're hearing it very early in the mix, I mean, in terms of its release or the development of the release, and you'll say, I like it, or, I don't hear, but we don't know. This is the thing about it, is that in terms of some of those things that we see as fault, the uniqueness about Jamaican character, or why, something unlikely can happen, is the point that it does. And that's what this business is. It's an unpredictable business, right? And that's the thing, is that and our particular angle is that we've made a commitment to stay consistent with what we're doing. And like we said, there's been great seasons and there have been seasons where it's not so strong. But that's each of the labels or success stories in the business that you hear about historically over time, they came up with that particular approach or angle to the artists, the writers, whoever it was that they could work with, from a David Geffen or Ahmet Erdogan, whoever, through that history. Over time, where we are today, there's these huge conglomerates, right? This guy was sitting up here, he's controlling 800 radio stations. There was a time when there would be people who one radio station they own, Yeah, the evolution of that is something that over time in the business you see it, but we don't necessarily appreciate it today. So the situation we see may seem like, man, like the majors are just dominating everything. How do you get a record going? What do you have? But then you start to see, well, you know what, there's other markets, or you do get a breakthrough, or the other thing you were asking about, in the international market, who's a Jamaican artist or Jamaican people who's benefited? And what came to mind for me was Lenky. So Lenky, Stephen Marsden wrote and produced and created the Diwali rhythm, right? So he scored with that numerous times, because when in 2002 the rhythm broke, Sean Paul, Get Busy, all the rest of the rhythm album, Lenky. Each time that it's sampled, Justin Bieber, I mean, you guys probably could call out more than that one. He's getting a check because he's being sampled, because he's got the publishing, because his business is intact with that. And so it's a long game business, as Shaggy was talking about. It's a volume business. The more kind of irons you have in the fire, the better chance your luck will come together on something. And I don't know, that's been my thought with it. So VP is sticking with it, man. We're going to stick with the Jamaican thing.
And and we want you to stick with us. We want you to keep on for another 60 years, right? At least for another 60.
As many as possible,
Well, Adam, I want to ask you a question. It's always been said that it's always been said that consistency is the key. So I always said that, we have the best talent, like Jamaica, for the square footage. We have the most talent, like in terms of creativity. We have the most talent per square mile. You understand? Undeniably. But do you think that the non-Jamaican artists are beating us, and I mean, to use the term lightly, beating us at our own game, not because they are more talented than us, but because they are more consistent, coming off of what Aaron said in terms of the irons in fire, just being consistent? Do you think that in the current market space of globalized reggae, that consistency is beating talent to the punch?
Yeah, I mean, talent is not everything. Like, there's a lot of artists that are not that talented who are really big.
Yep, that's true.
Facts.
Facts. That's facts.
And
facts.
There are a lot of artists who are not that talented who hustle and who work really hard and who figure out who they're supposed to know and this and that. Or you just have some shit go viral on TikTok overnight and it just has 15 seconds that like super catchy. And so all of a sudden, that's a big song, right? And it's like, so, not every big song or big artist it's based off of talent. So talent is one factor. Another factor is, I've said this a bunch, but I'm going to go back to it, is building an audience. And I think because of all the different styles that are a part of Jamaican music, if you're influenced by all these different styles and you put out like one song that's more of a roots reggae song, and then you move on and do more of a 90s dancehall beat, and then you do a choppa, and you're doing a bunch of different stuff, it does make it harder to build an audience globally, because you don't have an exact thing that people know exactly what to expect from you. So it is true that there are a lot of artists in other markets who are just making exclusively reggae, right? Or
Definitely.
Exclusively reggaeton, or exclusively these different things. And I think the diversity of sound and being and doing different things and doing whatever creatively makes sense to somebody always needs to keep going. And there's a ton of Jamaican artists who do that, and a ton of Jamaican artists who are consistent and who have huge fan bases because of that. But I do think what could be done and pushed forward more so has to do with consistency in the branding, consistency in the sound, and consistency in building consistent, cohesive content in perpetuity. Like, that's the success story. Like, you need to build consistent, cohesive content in perpetuity. That's how you build an audience, with quality, right? But even if your quality is like decent and you do everything else right, you actually will develop some fans. So it's just multiplying all these things together, and from that, you kind of create an audience and streaming.
Definitely.
So if I may, I wanted to add on to that, this idea of quality and talent. And the one thing, again, that's a major advantage with Jamaican artists and young artists who are here and coming up is the veterans. And I think it bears a shout out to Marcia Griffiths, who was in the place, to Tony Rebel, who was here, to other artists who weren't here today, but Barris or others, mid-range in terms of age and experience, who's been performing, touring, writing, doing this business. There's often a discussion or a disconnect about the generational changes, and that's out of play, and they're not cool, or what have you. But in terms of quality, in terms of having run the race and the benefit that they can gain from that, I think that's one of the best advantages that current and upcoming Jamaican artists, talent here have, is that the root of it. These are people who were there at the beginning, many, and who have carried the music this far. So to think about that, connect with that heritage, experiment, do different things, do collaborations, see the global marketplace. But I think that's an important thing, that in terms of the globalization, that's a key element for competition, spirit, and for advantage.
Definitely, thank you. Now we're going to take some questions in a few, but I have one final question I want to pose to J. Will. And that question is, how can the Jamaican government and industry stakeholders work together to support and promote the continued growth and development of reggae music, both locally and globally?
Just my 2 cents, because a lot of people have different opinions. For me, I can just speak for myself. I'm a ghetto youth, born in Maroon Town, grew up Spanish Town, went to St. Catherine, primary St. Catherine High, take common entrance, and at one point thought I was going to become a preacher, and now I'm filming girls shaking their butts, But the point is this, it is like I am living proof that, because a lot of kids sometimes just say, we come from the ghetto, we only have 2 options. If we're not too smart, I have no subjects, I've got to turn to badness, I'm going to be an athlete or be, you can be, a lot of us are examples that, there's a way out. You understand? And I feel the ones in high school, sad to say, them are wear the guard ring, them already, it's just about chop, and guzo and all that. No. So I think you have to instill in the young ones. You have to start, like if you want a change, you have to start from the primary school, the basic school. Bring a drum set. Like if the government was to put 1 drum set, 1 keyboard, like, kids are turning vloggers right now. Just put 1 computer in every basic school. And then 1 smart teacher will eventually learn how to use it. Then she'll teach another teacher. Then there's so many apps and programs. We need to look at kids them to start vlogging. My 9-year-old son in America, he's coding right now. He's a future software developer already. And him there in elementary school. Our kids are not being, only certain schools here, I guess. If it's here, it's only certain schools. Look at it. We have so many musical giants. Everyone that you just mentioned, from the Marcia Griffiths to everybody, them come from a little inner city. So if you find if every artist in Jamaica was just to say, I'm going to go to my basic school, or my elementary school, or my high school that I came from, I'm going to buy 1 guitar, donate 1 guitar, or 1 drum set, or 1 video camera. You know how much J. Wills would have, and how much Chronics, and how much, you understand? All these people bust at such a late age. Imagine if they had developed this passion from, they were in basic school. So I just feel like the government is investing in a lot of different sectors, in tourism, in sports. And, I just feel like we could pay a little attention to the kids when they're at a tender age before they meet this down and this badness lifestyle and this chopper lifestyle. Invest in the youths, and we might can save the future. Some of it, it's too late for some. You understand? unless they just decide to change. But we can teach the younger ones, and that's just my, you know.
Boy, I want to thank the panel. You know, it's been some powerful conversations. Give it up for our panel. Give it up for the panel. Aaron, thank you for coming to share your extreme wealth of knowledge. Jay, Will, you've been on the sidelines, and it's you've just shared a wealth of knowledge. Adam, we have embraced you here in Jamaica. You're now a part of the Jamaican community, music community, and we hope to see you sharing a lot more information with us because you have become, even online, you're a strength of resource sharing information, and we hope you come back again and do it for us again.
I'll be here soon.
All right, any question? What mics? Up the top? Yes, way up the top there. Yeah.
Great panel. This is Jabari Shah.
Hey Jabari, what's your question?
My question is, I think, Adam, we've had some great conversations. J-Will, we had a great time the other night out and about in town. Appropriation. Where do you all draw the line and say, all right, now this has gone too far? And I ask the question because I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. In Kentucky, to make bourbon, the alcohol, it has to be made a certain way in a certain barrel, or else it's not bourbon. That was something that the United States decided to give to Kentucky. Jamaica could do the same thing for reggae. We own it. Nobody can tell us any different. So I want to just hear from the panel, where do you guys draw the line when it comes to, if Inevitable is dealing with an artist, if it's too close to the line, have you gotten in that situation? VP, same thing. Have you gotten in that situation where you're like, whoa, let's step back?
You know what? I think that's a question for the artist because my guy from the Grammys, I'm forgetting his name, who was here. Len was talking about how, and we've experienced a number of times where our submissions for reggae album, they really get scrutinized because of the different styles that's within it. And like we were talking about before, this idea of what's the boundaries of reggae. It's subjective is the point, right? Because it's a Jamaican vocal, because they're doing a chat rather than a DJ thing on a country song. Is it reggae? I mean, it's to the interpretation of the listener, I think. So, and appropriation in terms of songwriting, I think it's a tradition for many years in pop music that they put on a song. Oh, I like that hook, and then that's where they start their song. It's all been borrowed from other influences, right? So I think it's hard to be a purist as far as that goes.
And also, I mean, from the standpoint, Jamaica's motto is out of many, one. And if we have gone out in the world, which reggae has done, and is coming from Jamaica, I think it represents that motto, out of many, one. So, yes, we own it. The world knows we own reggae. But appropriation that's sort of selfish when reggae is something we're sharing. I don't even know if the word appropriation is part of the reggae vocabulary.
Yeah, because my take on it is like some of the biggest songs that I grew up on was Ghost singing over Tony Braxton's song, Sanchez singing over all these other songs, Vibes Cartel, Ramping Shop. You understand? And the list goes on, because we do it too. I just kind of feel like, I think it's a compliment sometimes, and I think the listener gets to decide if it make it. If a man got up, did the work, went and paid for his studio time, sing something, and somebody like it, somebody nominated for something, and they win something, and they make some money, kudos to that man. You know what I mean? Because I work, him work same way, and I like, so we need to find some things that we can go appropriate and make some money. You understand? That is it.
What are you saying, Adam? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I generally agree with what everyone's saying. I think that there's also a level of like some white dude who grew up in a mansion in Beverly Hills, California, singing about burning down Babylon, wearing dreadlocks, and saying "Ja" is too far.
You heard it yourself.
So,
all right.
Who else?
Yes, I have the mic.
All right, who else is out there now?
Question and comment. I'm at the front.
Okay, there you go.
All right. I don't know when dancehall became a genre, because as far as I know, years back, when we used to go to the dance hall, right? There were certain type of music that played in the dance hall. It had reggae in it, it had ska in it, it had soca in it, but it was just certain types of music that was not played on air. Right. And that's what I knew about dance hall. All of a sudden, dance hall has become a genre. I don't agree, and I never agree. It could not be a genre.
We're going to wrap up now, but one of the things I'm going to wrap with saying is that dance hall is a space, but like with everything, spaces evolve. And dance hall now is accepted as a genre. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you very much.
God bless you.
Thank you
Good
so
night.
much.